Yeah, we'll be looking at lookups today. One of the essential functions in Excel, VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. Then at the end of today, we'll take the two of them together, applying to a real life scenario. So first things first, to start any function in Excel, like you know, we're going to be looking at equals to. We start with equals to. So, but beforehand, all those lookups value means we have a large data set. We have a large data set. We want to look at specific data from this data set. So VLOOKUP helps us as regard that instead of searching for data one by each. So VLOOKUP helps as regard that. So what we want to do basically is we are going to be starting with equals to here under the customer's name. So we have three key items here: the first name, the customer's name, and the yearly cost. So the customer names, the yellow cost are what we're trying to figure out. And we're going to be linking this first name to each customer's name and to the yellow cost. Meaning for every input of first name that was inserted into this, the customer's name and the yellow cost are going to be aligning with the right first name. So we start with customer's name, which equals to VLOOKUP. That's down here VLOOKUP, which means vertical lookup. So what is the lookup value? The lookup value is basically what we're trying to get from the data set. We're trying to get the first name. We're telling us your lookup the value of the first name from this data set. Then as you're saying, what's the table array? That is, what's the data set? The data set is this, Control Shift right arrow key and Control Shift down, then comma. Then as well is telling us what's the colon index number, meaning the customer name we're searching for, what colon is it on the data set on the table array? What's the colon number there? So we have first name as colon 1, we have customer's name as colon 2. So you basically look at the table array, the data set, not the overall columns that you have in Excel, just the one in which the table array is in. So we have first name as colon 1, customer's name as colon 2. So I'm going to insert 2 there, then comma to move to the last parameter. So we have true, which is approximate match, and we have false, which is exact match. For VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP, for lookups generally, we go with exact match. We want it to return the exact amount or the exact value of what we've given Excel. So to do that, basically we type in 0 to give us exact match, then enter. So this is saying not available because remember the first parameter we have, which is lookup value, it's still empty. We have not inserted a first name here, so that's why it's saying not available. So just to do that, I'm just going to insert any name there so we can actually see we're correct. I'm just going to go with Mary. So it returns customer number 11. So basically, customer's name and yellow cost are going to be attached to this particular column. Remember, we talked about cell referencing prior. So cell referencing is going to allow you to actually change any name on this first column, and this customer name and yellow cost are going to be aligning themselves with the value inserted into this particular column or this particular cell rather. So we do the same thing for yellow cost equals to VLOOKUP. What's the lookup value? So we'll go with this cell reference in here, that particular cell, comma, what's the table array? Remember the data set, Control Shift right arrow key and Control Shift down, then we'll move on to comma. Same thing also, what's the colon index number? The colon index number is saying what colon is this yellow cost is in your data set. So we have colon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We have 9. Then we'll go with exact match, which is 0. So at the end of the day, let's trace our Mary so we can see if we're correct. At the end of the day, we have Mary as customer number 11, and she spends $1,538 in the company, which is this. So instead of us doing it manually like this, I can just change the first name. Oh, I want to look at pizza this time around. So we have pizza as customer number 12, the yearly cost of $1,686 spent in our organization. That's the function of VLOOKUP, vertical lookup. So there is some adjustment. There are some limitations to using VLOOKUP. That is why Microsoft Excel introduced XLOOKUP. What do I mean by limitations? So the limitation there is the value we are trying to look up, what we are trying to get itself, in this case, customer's name and yellow cost. If they are at the back, meaning they come first before the lookup value, which is the first name in this scenario, this is not going to work. What do I mean? Let's pick yellow cost. Let's say it comes first before customer's name. You can see this is showing us $0. That's the limitation of VLOOKUP. It does not look backward, it's always look forward. That's the limitation. Even if I drag this to include the yellow cost, I'm still going to be having nuts available. So to include the yellow cost there. So that's the limitation of VLOOKUP. Does not look backward, it only looks forward. So I'm just going to do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, and we are good to go. All right, Ctrl Z one more time. I'm good to go. So that's why Excel introduced XLOOKUP. So XLOOKUP basically solves that problem. We are going to be trying XLOOKUP in this scenario also. We need sales and location. So we are going to be filtering it down using last name. So our last name is basically going to be changing depending on who we are trying to get and the data sets we are trying to get of that particular person. So we start with sales. Sales equals to XLOOKUP. What is the lookup value in this scenario? The lookup value is look up this name in this data set, look it up, comma, what's the lookup array? The lookup array is basically this last name you're trying to search for. Take me to the colon, then idealize the colon. That's just the interpretation of that parameter, the lookup array. So we'll go to last name, Ctrl Shift down, select every single thing, then we'll press comma, then Ctrl up to move back up. Then it's saying the third array, third one, what is the return array? The return array, we want Excel to go to the data set, look at any last name that was inserted, then return the sales. So for this scenario, we are trying to return sales. So sales is a return array. So we're going to select all the items for sales. Ctrl Shift down arrow key, then comma, Ctrl up. Then if not found, we skip that by pressing on comma to move on to the next parameter. Then remember what I said earlier, we always stick with exact match. So 0 for exact match. Then you can close the brackets, then enter. Saying not available also because we've not inserted a particular last name. So let's go with anyone. Clay, for example. So we have 2,100 sales made by Clay. $100 made by Clay. Same thing for location. We're trying to get Clay's location. XLOOKUP. What's the lookup value? The lookup value is basically the last name, but we are not at coding this time. You see, so far we've not coded anything. We're always doing cell referencing. We're referencing a cell, so we can actually change any items, any value in that particular cell, so we can actually return any of the data sets we need. So comma to move on to the lookup array. The lookup array, like I explained earlier, are going to come down to last name. Ctrl Shift down arrow key and then comma, move back up. What is the return array? The return array in this scenario, we're trying to get the location of Clay's in this scenario. Ctrl Shift down, then a comma to move on to the next parameter, comma, then we have 0 as exact match, then enter. So Clay basically made a sales of $2,100 approximately. Let me put in the function there, then reduce this. Yeah, so and Clay lives at St. Paul. That's the location of Clay's. So that's the beautifulness, or that's the usefulness of lookup. Remember I said there was limitations to VLOOKUP, that is, it cannot look backward. So let's try the same thing in this scenario for XLOOKUP, which is trying to solve that particular problem. So we are going to take one of our return array. Let's take a location. Ctrl X to cut this and put it at the back. Ctrl V. You can see, we can see that we still have our correct answer returning the correct data set for us. There's no limitation to XLOOKUP, but we have limitation for VLOOKUP. So in most scenarios, you can decide to either use VLOOKUP or X scenario or X lookup. But make sure you know the differences between the two so you can actually impute the data set correctly. So we are going to take one last example by looking at how we can apply it to a real life scenario. So we have the full name here. We have a full name in this scenario. And we have fees. We will use XLOOKUP for fees and VLOOKUP for the full name, basically. So I forgot to mention, make sure you understand your data sets before you actually go into VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. Make sure you understand data sets. The data sets we have here is for a high school, a senior high school, an higher institution, basically. We have from university ID, which is like the key there. The last name, the first name, the full name, down to residence or. So one of the things we want to do here is basically, as we are imputing the university ID, we want to get the person's full name. So this is just a number, but we want to get the person's full name. We are going to be using VLOOKUP for this. Equals to VLOOKUP. What's the lookup value? We want Excel to look up this number in data sets here, comma, what's the table array? The table array is our data sets, basically. So select your data sets, Ctrl Shift down, and Ctrl Shift right arrow key, Ctrl Shift down. Then we have comma. Then what's our colon index number? Our colon index number is basically where this full name is placed. We have university ID as colon 1, colon 2, colon 3, colon 4, and colon 5. Then was our range lookup. Our range lookup, remember we said exact match. So your approximate match is 1 in Excel, your exact match is 0, represented by binary number. Then we have enter. So basically what it does for us is looking at this university ID 09121 that returns the person's name, which is Ella Taylor. Basically, so that's what it does for us. We can easily change the university ID 0912. Let's pick anyone, maybe 129. Yeah, so we can have the person's name. That's for VLOOKUP. For XLOOKUP, we have another sheet here showing us the program that the institution runs alongside their fees. So we want to make sure that we are attaching each correct fees to each correct major. So rather than doing this one by one, we'll check the first one, biology. What's biology? Yeah, biology is $2,700. We come here, we impute $2,700. That's not efficient enough. So we're going to be using XLOOKUP. So attach the correct major, so the correct fees, basically. So we have equals to XLOOKUP. What's our lookup value? These are lookup value, the major, comma, what's our lookup array? Our lookup array is basically where the lookup value is located. So we'll come down to the fees sheets. Our lookup value is located in under the programs here. These are the majors that the company, the institution runs, basically. Come to shift down. Then we have comma to move on to the next parameter. The next parameter is our return array. Our return, what do we want Excel to return for us? We want it to return the correct fees. So the fees are the return array. Ctrl Shift down to select every single one of them. Comma, if not found, we can ignore that. Comma to move on to the next parameter. So we stick with our exact match, which is 0. Then close the bracket, and we have enter. So at the end of the day, we are going to be having $2,700 as our biology fees. But remember, when you copy down formulas in Excel, these are going to be moving down. So what we need to do basically is to lock this, because a limited a finite data set, and we lock the fees also. So I'm just going to come here, F2 to open this up, select the fees that we have here, and F4 on the keyboard to lock. Same thing applies there. F4 on your keyboard to lock. Then can just double click on this to copy down. And voila, we have this. So we can just try to pick one to actually confirm. So we have health, $5,800. So we go down to our fees. Health, yeah, $5,800. So that's the usefulness of XLOOKUP. Most times I stick with XLOOKUP because the function is limitless, is useful, is actually good. Most times I stick with XLOOKUP because of the simplicity that comes with it. Yeah, we'll meet in the next video. Thank you very much.